Hi friends, if you are looking to understand the difference between option buying and option selling, today we will understand what is the core difference between the two, what are the difference in risk involved, and some other differences like the probable profit that can be made in both of these. Now, futures and options trading is risky inherently, and I personally request people trying to get into it to do their due diligence. I will help you in this video understand the difference between option buying and option selling to the best of my understanding, but please do understand that this could be a topic of deep research if you want to become an expert. Now, to understand the difference between option buying and selling, let's take an example of an option contract. If you have no understanding of what options are, this example should be friendly for you. I was recently booking a flight ticket from Bombay to Bangalore. Now, while booking this flight ticket, the website on which I was booking this ticket told me, hey, if you are not sure about this fare of 9,000 rupees, what you can do is you can pay me 650 rupees and lock this fare. So if you come back after a few days, I will still give you this ticket for 9,000, even if the price has shot up to say something like a 12,000. So no matter what the price goes up to, the seller is assuring me that they will still give the ticket to me for 9,000 if I come and ask for it, but I have to pay a 650 rupee fee for it. This is a classic case of an option contract, and the kind of option contract we are talking over here is called a call contract. There's also a put where I could have been the seller of the ticket, but in option terms, I will be called a buyer of the call option over here, and the travel company which is offering me this deal is called the seller. So there are, let's just to have a clear picture, there is a buyer and there is a seller of this call option. Now the buyer is paying the seller 650 rupees in this case, and the seller is promising to give the ticket for 9,000 rupees if the buyer wants. So the very first difference over here is that the buyer is not obligated to come and buy this ticket after the certain number of days. Say in this case, 2 days was the limit. So the buyer has a choice if I want to take this or not take this. But the seller has an obligation. This is very important because the buyer has paid only 650 rupees to get this option. So the option buyer's risk is 650 rupees, which we also called premium in the market. So the premium that you have paid is at risk because you have paid it to the seller in advance. Now, if the price of the ticket goes down to 8,000, or if you do not want to buy this ticket for any reason, you can simply say, okay, I don't want it, and all you lose is 650 rupees. But if the price of this ticket goes up significantly to 10, 12, 13, 14, whatever amount, the seller will be required to give the ticket to the buyer for 9,000 rupees. That means the seller will make a loss. And seller's loss over here in case of option contracts is uncapped, which means the seller can make unlimited loss, but the buyer can make 650 rupees as maximum loss, the premium which has been paid. Now, in this case, while the seller can make a unlimited loss, the option seller's maximum profit can be 650 rupees. So if the price of the ticket remains 9,000, sure, in which case the buyer will pay 9,000 and take it from you, but all you have is 650 rupees which you got in addition. If the price of the ticket goes up, the buyer will come and demand a ticket from you for 9,000 rupees, you will make a loss. If the price of the ticket drops to 8,000 rupees, the buyer will just go and buy it from the market instead of coming and buying it from you at 9,000 rupees because the buyer has a choice. So the price of the ticket falling in this case does not help the seller. And that is why the maximum profit you can make is 650 rupees. With this example out of the way, let me show you a very small table with multiple criterias or multiple differences between option buying and option selling. Now let's understand the differences one by one. Here is the option buyer, here is the option seller. The capital required for an option buyer is low because if you see my example, you only paid a premium. That premium is the maximum capital that you need to give. In that example I gave you, it was 650 rupees. In case of an option seller, the capital requirement is high, and you may ask, why is it so? Because hey, I'm promising to provide this thing at a price and I'm giving a guarantee. So the market fluctuation, even if it is 20%, I need to still give that entire lot of, say, Nifty, Bank Nifty, whatever I am on the other side of, I have to provide it at the price I have assured, which is the strike price. So a high amount of margin has to be given by the seller. So the capital requirement for option selling is high. What is the risk for the buyer? The risk for the buyer is limited. It's limited to the premium paid. If at most you will lose the premium, but that will be it. But the risk for the seller is unlimited, because if the price of the lot moves too much, say a Bank Nifty lot or any stock, the lot is 6 to 8 lakh rupees. If the price moves by 20%, you can lose over a lakh in a single trade. And that's why your liability is unlimited in case of a seller, because the price could go anywhere. In case of a option buyer, your premium value will go to zero, and that's it. You only lost the premium that you paid. What is the reward for an option buyer? The reward is unlimited. In case of calls especially, your reward is unlimited. But in case of an option seller, your reward is limited to the premium that you have gotten. So the premium which you collected, that premium is something you can take home, and that's the maximum money you can make. What is the probability of profit in case of an option buyer? The probability of profit in case of an option buyer is low, because if you are paying a premium and you are hoping that the price will move in your direction and you will recover your premium and some profit over it, that requires a market movement to go in your favor and also earn you back your premium. So the probability in terms of the total number of trades that are taken in the market, how many go in favor of the buyer versus seller, the probability is lower for the buyer. The probability for the seller to earn money is higher. Of course, they are also taking unlimited risk, but most amount of times the premium goes to zero, because the move does not go in the direction of everyone. Even if the market moves in one direction, everyone else on the other direction loses their money to the option sellers. So most option contracts have their premium going to zero, which is where sellers make more money. Now, what should be your market view for being an option buyer? For being an option buyer, your market view should be that a big move will come in the market. But for being an option seller, your view of the market should be that the market will not move a lot. Say in that example of the flight ticket, if the ticket remains around 9,000, basically the seller wins because they are getting premium on top of it. But if a big move happens and the price goes up to 12,000, the buyer makes money. So the market view of an option buyer generally is that a big move will happen in either direction and they are taking a call or a put option accordingly. But in case of an option seller, they make money if the market does not move a lot. Now these differences aside, I'm on the Dhan option trader app, and let's take a look at how these options look like in the real market. So I'm going to come over here and look at the watch list. In the watch list, you can see that the current Nifty spot price is around 23,616, and I have multiple calls over here which I could execute for either weekly expiry or monthly expiry. And let me give you an example by searching for a very specific call. So suppose I am looking at a strike price of 24,000, and I think that the market by the end of the month will close above 24,000. As a result, what I'm trying to do is I want an option to be able to buy Nifty at 24,000 on 30th Jan. So I will go and search for Nifty 24,000 and I will look at the call option for 30th Jan. I'll go back to the watch list and you will notice that the 30th Jan call option is at a premium of 250. Now imagine this. I am paying 400 rupees above the current market and I am paying another 250 rupees as premium. So for me to make a profit as an option buyer, I will need the market to be somewhere above 24,250 at closing to make profit, or I am hoping that the market will start moving up in the short term and well before 30th Jan expiry, I will sell my position, I will close my position and make a profit, because this premium in the short term can shoot up significantly. So if I go into this contract and look at a call contract where the premium is 250, so basically the buyer of this option will be paying 250, the seller of this option will be getting 250, and the seller will still pay a bigger margin. So from a buyer's perspective, so if I am to look at just going and looking at the buying screen, if I go to the buying screen, I'm buying a lot of one, the total quantity is 25. All I have to pay is 25 into 250 and 6270 becomes my margin. So the premium is the only money I am paying. But if I switch to sell over here, if I am selling, I will receive this 250 as a premium, but the margin requirement is 69,000 rupees, because the underlying trade that I am taking is 24,000 into 25. That's the value of my trade. That is 6 lakh rupees. That's the value of the trade. So if the market moves by 10%, I have a liability of 60,000 if it does not go in my favor. And that is why the margin required by sellers of option is higher and the margin required by buyers is low. Of course, never take a position without hedging or a stop loss in place. And if you have any more questions about option buying and selling, please do comment and let me know. Hope this beginner video was helpful for you. Do watch my entire playlist on option trading.